Back at Fenway Park, and in between innings, Dustin Pedroia got ejected from this game by DJ Rayburn, the home plate umpire. This was between innings, and he's been upset about his at bat in the inning. I guess, I don't know. I mean, John Farrell was out there arguing as well. I don't think John got tossed. He did not, but Pedroia did.
Yeah, it came as a surprise. I mean, between innings, we saw Farrell out there, and then we saw Pedroia come out to join him, and Dustin has been thrown out of this ball game, so he might have been yelling something from the dugout. Rayburn didn't like it and threw him out of the ball game.
Called strike 3. Rizzo's going to get tossed. Be the first of his career.
Ricky out there hoping to save Rizzo, but it happened quickly. Had one call him down around the knees last time that he thought was a ball, and now 2 consecutive. I mean, if you're Jerry Meals, you have no choice but to run him at that point, as demonstrative as he was.
Rays. I just talked to Tom Zimmer, who tells him that his father Don, the former Cubs manager, has passed away at age 83. That's very sad news. And Rick Renteria just got thrown out by Todd Titchener.
Well, they were barking back and forth, and Titchener gave him the, you know, kind of the final. That's enough, and Ricky fired back one more time. And Titchener seems almost apologetic about it, as if to say, Ricky, I had to do it, man. I said my piece, you said yours.
That's the 4th time he's been ejected?
Yeah.
That's got to be leading all managers. Could have been a strike.
Could have been, but the other pitcher missed.
All 4 and a 4-pitch walk from Workman, the leadoff hitter here in the 6th inning. Cabrera. Second walk given up by Workman of his outing. John Farrell coming out here to argue as Brzezinski got into it with a home plate umpire walk-on, and Farrell out there to intercept. Is AJ tossed? He's walking away from the scene. Apparently AJ has been tossed as he heads to the dugout.
Well, I mean, for what reason? I mean, even if he was complaining about a pitch in that particular sequence, it's between him and the umpire. Why in the world would he be tossed? And really, what pitch was there to complain about? None of them were really that close.
He questioned the pitch, and it was thrown out of the game.
Boy, that's a quick trigger.
You could tell the home plate umpire Quinn Walcott was annoyed by the Grady Sizemore situation the inning before, and so probably had gotten hurt enough. So AJ Brzezinski ejected from the game, arguing with Quinn Walcott, the home plate umpire.
And Coop's going to come out. Needless to say, Kerwin's had a tough night tonight. He's had a tough night behind the plate. He's had a tough night with the ball and strikes. He's had a tough night.
He threw Robin out of the game for telling him that the ball wasn't down. And so Robin gets a heave-ho and then got his money's worth.
To make it 9-5, bottom 7 with a man on third. Desmond Jennings doubles down the right field line. Evan Longoria scores easily on the play to make it 9-6. Now Mike Redmond is not happy with the call. He's pleading his case, saying that it was a foul ball. You see it again. It is a very close play, but Redmond would not challenge the call. He would continue to argue with first base umpire Bill Miller, and Redmond gets ejected from the game. Raised.
Yes, but still wanted some more when and if that happened.
Strike 3 on Tulowitzki, and he just got tossed out. Second time a yard with Dan Iasanya tonight.
I think that goes back to the last time he was up.
Last 2 weeks boiling over for Troy Tulowitzki.
It was
the outer edge of the plate. It was close.
But immediately Dan threw him out. Troy looks at him.
Rocco, and now Ryan Sandberg has been thrown out of the game. We saw this with Brian Price earlier this year, where once a decision is rendered from replay, you cannot come back out and ask the umpires about any part of the call. It's an automatic ejection.
Struck him out looking, and Russ doesn't believe it, and he is out of the ball game. Throwing the equipment will get you thrown out. And here comes Clint Hurdle to get his catcher, and now to let Ed Hickox hear about it. So not only does Russell Martin strike out, he gets thrown out of the ball game, and the Pirates lose their catcher for the 9th inning. And Hurdle is gone.
Yeah, that was a real tough way to end that at bat. I think the little frustrations coming out, I think, with the the umpires as a whole. And remember the play at the plate that didn't go the Pirates' way, and then there was the fan interference that didn't go the Pirates' way, and then this called strike 3, and it's an automatic ejection when you fire your equipment, as you said.
We'll come back for the 9th. It's still Milwaukee 1-0.
Two down. Ooh. And Machado looks out. Remember Donaldson, Machado, and their little set 2 in game 1, and followed up by some Wei and Chen inside hitting Donaldson.
There's a fastball right at the legs, brushing Manny Machado back.
There goes the bat. You know where that bat was intended to go? To the pitcher. And that's why the catcher rather jumped out in front. And here they go. Buck Showalter trying to push
The A's away. Bullpens are coming. Machado thought he was thrown at, and on that swing he let that bat go, intending it to go to the mound. It ended up going to third.
Boy, I hope that wasn't intentional. That wouldn't be good. He turned and said to the catcher that it slipped, but it's been a rough series in that regard. Whoa. Yeah, that did not look good.
No, that was, I mean, I can't read people's minds, but if I'm an umpire, that was intended.
Yeah, the ball was kind of by him when he let that bat go.
And he looked right out at the mound.
Yeah.
And Vogt immediately stepped in. The umpires huddling here to decide whether anybody gets tossed. The bullpens amiably going back together to the bullpens.
Yeah, well, Manny had the run in with Donaldson in the first game, and then hit Norris. I don't think that was intentional. A couple times.
He's thrown him out
of the game.
Thrown both of them out, I think. So both Showalter and Melvin aren't happy. Larry Vanover, the second base umpire, is the crew chief. Adrian Johnson at home plate signaled that they're tossing both. It's a little tough to do this on Abad if you're tossing him for throwing at him, but you're throwing him out after he's thrown another pitch.
Yeah, right.
Unless he'd said or did something. I agree with him on throwing Machado out.
Yeah, it seemed pretty obvious there after I saw the replay, and that ball was actually by Machado, and then he just threw his bat.
Well, the headsets are coming off, and it is interference. They're calling so Trout's going to have to go back to second. The run will count. The call has been overturned. Now they're saying that yeah, they're putting Trout at second base. Trout and Mike Scioscia arguing that Trout should be at third base. And the fan not interfered, and the ball is basically what you're saying. Ball would have been in play, that Trout would have been at third base.
Boy, very interesting. It took a long, long time also.
Well, Mike Scioscia has been ejected. So Mike Scioscia has been ejected, and remember, you can't really argue the replay. Once it's come back from New York, you cannot argue, and that's why we've seen managers automatically ejected.
Once he said about the fan interference, well, then there's still an option for an umpire to place a runner depending on where he thought the baseball would go off the wall or not.
So two things happened in New York. They determined that a fan came over the railing and touched that ball in play, and they also determined that Mike Trout only would have gotten to second base had that ball gone off the wall. So the Angels do get a run. It's an RBI double. Managed second, one out for Albert Pujols.
In between that, Kurt Young, the pitching coach, had a conversation.
See, that's in and out of the glove, right?
It is off the glove.
But this is reaching into the field of play, and that's why they're calling it as such.
He's reaching down. You can understand why they made that call in New York. But you also know that Mike Trout's running also.
So Trout picks up his second RBI of the ball game, his 13th double. 3-1 Angels here in the fifth.
Into the season, and he's not going to get it on this outside. Kemp about as happy with rookie umpire Seth Buckminster as Yasiel Puig was. They're hitting 179. And he has right-handers 272. And somebody has just been thrown out of the game, and it may be Matt Kemp. And here comes Don Mattingly.
The delay in the toss could be that Matt went under and looked at the pitch on TV and then came out and started to bark, because that's a long time to think that he had been yelling for that long during this at bat.
And you know what? After that long, I mean, you shouldn't. Your focus should be on the batter up at the plate and the pitches. You shouldn't be listening and focusing over there in the dugout.
Yep.
You know guys are going to bark. You know that, but just let it go.
Here we go.
And
and
they are confirming the call, and Terry Collins is coming out. Now you're not allowed to argue after New York has made its decision, but Terry's going to do that anyway.
He's going to get thrown out.
Well, Gary Cederstrom is not supposed to allow Terry to argue now that the call has stood, and Terry pointed out at the scoreboard and said everybody in the ballpark saw that he was safe. How can that be?
Well, what Cederstrom is going to say is that our guy in New York gave us this, and the call was out from the umpire, and they're going to tell Terry that it wasn't enough to overturn the call.
Terry was just ejected from the game, and that was a fait accompli once he came out to argue, but you have to wonder about the system. Everybody saw it. Everybody saw that he was safe, and yet the decision in the video room in New York was that he was out, and I don't understand. That just means that for this particular instance, it didn't work.
So you know what's interesting, and I'm sorry, Ronnie. No. Is that how can you really argue emphatically when it's not in the hands of the home plate umpire and the first base umpire? You can't argue with the guys in New York. What are you going to do? Throw the guy out at Park Avenue? Take a cab over and air him out.
And again, you've got an anonymous umpire making the call. Why won't Major League Baseball tell us who the replay umpire is? What is the, I mean, we know who the umpires on the field are. If they make a bad call, we can mention them by name. You've got Major League umpires in that replay room. Why don't we know who they are?
Inquiring minds want to know.
Makes no sense.
Well,
2-2 to record.
Strike
three call, and that time the plate got a little wider, and Recker's been thrown out of the game.
Out in this kind of game. That's Angel. Angel's got a quick fuse.
Well, Recker complaining that Hernandez is at a wide strike zone all night, made it a little wider, and he's getting himself in trouble now. And Tim Tuffle tries to steer him away, and Terry Collins will come out to take up the case.
That I thought was low.
And so we're going to the 12th, but without Anthony Recker, who's been ejected from the game. Well, the Mets had one player left on their bench, Taylor Teagarden, and now he's forced into service with Recker heading off to the clubhouse.
I thought the ball was low. Still can't get thrown out in an extra inning game with one guy on the bench. Can't do it.
Oh, and Recker, a very strong man, disposes of the lumber.
And Carpenter hits him, and Carpenter just got thrown out of the game, and he's given a look like, what, me? There was no question that was deliberate. No question whatsoever.
Well, that's why the umpire tossed him as soon as Corey got hit. There was absolutely no question in Jordan Baker's mind either.
Corey escorted down to first by Eric Young, and Walt Weiss just got thrown out of the game because he was going to go after David Carpenter. And now the crew chief, Paul Emmel, warning everybody on the bench to go back from the Rockies side. Boy, Walt is really hot, and I don't blame him. How can you say, boy, look at Walt, still screaming at the gutless David Carpenter. How can you even think that what Corey Dickerson did was deliberate? That is totally classless by David Carpenter. Boy, is Walt hot.
In the 2 years of managing the club, I haven't seen Walt that upset about something on the field.
Well, Renee Latchman's out there pretty angry now, too, as he talks with Paul Emmel, the crew chief. Caught Dickerson on the right hip, and Jordan Baker never hesitated. Threw him out of the game, and David Carpenter gave the, "Who, me? I'm innocent" look. Awful. Just awful.
In this series. Evan Gattis got hit. So he's ejected, is Nick Massett. And I'm guessing either Renee Latchman or Tom Runnels is going to be tossed as well.
Right.
I'm not sure who took over the. Tom Runnels is the bench coach. And so Gattis gets hit.
Paul Emmel's coming in to tell Massett, "What are you doing? Get out of here." I don't know who was running the show, if it was Runnels in Walt's absence, but anytime the pitcher gets thrown out after a warning, the acting manager in this case goes with him.
And Massett
guy that relied on his control as Castro is hit by a pitch. And Roberto Hernandez has just been thrown out of this ball game. Starlin Castro had a 2-run home run his last time up, and Roberto Hernandez without warning. And the umpires do have the right to do this without warning. Throws Hernandez out of this ball game. Wow. Ryan Sandberg is saying there's no way he's throwing at him there. So there's no way he's throwing at him there. Gary Cedarstrom tells Chase Utley to back off. Yeah, part of me, and I know that from time to time you'll see a pitcher throw at a hitter after that hitter hits a home run, if he Cadillacs it at all, or if he poses. And Sandberg's now been ejected from this game. But without warning, he throws him out of the ball game. Normally you'll see a warning on both sides.
Yeah, I've never seen anything like that before in my life.
I think that's jumping the gun, honestly. I mean, I know they have to protect the game itself, protect the players, but if you're the home plate umpire, Mark Rippinger, I think you have to throw a warning out there.
2-0 game, well-pitched game on both sides.
I mean, this ball zipped right in. Ruiz is set up outside. Roberto can't believe it. Oh. And then Ryan Sandberg, he's thrown himself out. And now he's warning both benches.
That's horrible.
Yeah, I can't imagine. Well, I can't imagine an umpire not warning a pitcher before throwing him out.
These lead the Yankees, and looks like Josh Donaldson is gone. He got thrown out. Oh, he got thrown out. So the changes are being made, and he's talking to the home plate umpire, and that's it.
You know, that's probably the result of the strike 3 call, 5th inning. Remember, in the 5th inning, the pitch the outside part of the plate, and he said something to the home plate umpire. Then he said that ball was off the plate, and we showed the high home camera in it. It's off the plate, and.
Your attention, please, ladies and gentlemen, for the Athletics. Number 8, Ken Lowry is now playing shortstop.
I guess what's interesting is that was 2.5 innings ago.
Around the bases.
And they do it again and have him picked off.
Adam Eaton wants a balk called. And I think home plate umpire Paul Emmel did just that. Well, you rarely see a right-hand pitcher even attempt a pickoff at third. We see it all the time with a lefty to first base, and I don't know if I've ever seen a balk call on a right-hand pitcher. And James Shields has to be very careful here. He is pointing to the mound. And
Ned's going to watch this one from the showers. He just got tossed. Paul Emmel, obviously home plate umpire, having a short fuse this afternoon. I guess they were saying that James Shields was coming home and didn't make a deliberate effort to throw the ball to third base. Like he was coming home first, and Ned is going to get his money's worth here in the first.
You know, that might be good strategy by Ned, because right as Ned got Paul Emmel's attention before walking back to the dugout, James Shields was pointing to the mound, saying, look at where my foot was. And that's a no-no. That's the equivalent of a hitter trying to do the same thing at the plate, showing where a foul ball hit instead of their foot, trying to show up the umpire. That was maybe a good distraction as Ned is thrown out, but he may have saved his starting pitcher.
Got him.
Now you've got to expand. If you're down to your last couple outs, you cannot let that happen. And that is a rough at bat.
Well, Bruce Bochy's just got kicked out of the game.
We haven't seen it called all day. I mean, he's had a low strike zone. We haven't seen any belt highs. Bochy definitely get a few things off his chest. And this is going to accelerate right now. Was quite a contrast with Bochy's about 6'5", and Malinsky's about 5'7".
Well, Malinsky kept walking away. Boch can keep up with him.
I'm looking through you. He is safe at third. Ball on the field stands, which means there was no clear and convincing evidence of the umpire's judgment. And Kurt Gibson makes a beeline for Ted Barrett, who is giving him the hold on sign. Talk to the hand, and he has been ejected. Replay official will only reverse a call based on clear and convincing evidence if the evidence leads him to definitively conclude the call being reviewed was incorrect. They didn't feel they had that in New York, and Kurt Gibson feels they should have, and he's been tossed from the ball game.
Yeah, it looked like from his body language, Gibby pointed up at the big board in center field where they showed the replay several times here on DBTV, and I think he was saying you don't have to be at BAM headquarters in New York. It was right up there on the replay board. He was clearly tagged out. Ball for a short period of time, and then Ryan Braun's body got between the ball and his mitt, but somehow he caught it.
And Evan Marshall has been ejected. Kurt Gibson was very vocal last season talking about Ryan Braun and what happened in the postseason series between these two ball clubs, and that may have been some unfinished business in the eyes of the Diamondbacks manager. And Marshall is gone. He'll leave to a standing ovation. He threw one behind Braun and then plunked him, and the bases are loaded.
in the wallet.
One pitch after Ted Barrett went out there and gave him the talk. And now Brad Ziegler will come in for the Diamondbacks. And we'll take a break and see if cooler heads will prevail.
So let's see what. Oh my. Oh my goodness.
And I wouldn't be surprised if the umpires say that I didn't want to do this, but the new rule forces me to do this.
Well, Clint's coming up the steps. He wants a word.
Well, this stinks.
And this rule, this is an experimental rule, and there is a chance that this rule could go, and it should, especially when you see a call like this. This is ridiculous.
So give Mr. Simon a base hit.
He gets a base hit, a run batted in. Mesoraco scores at 6-0. And Clint's going to be thrown out of this game for arguing an overturned call and a replay, which is another thing about instant replay. Apparently the replay operations center guys in New York said this was the definitive angle that Russ was blocking the plate. And I don't.
And you have to finish that, blocking the plate without the baseball.
Watch Hurdle's reaction. He's sitting by the bat rack. And he's a little upset. And now he's out of the ball game, but still getting his money's worth, jawing with Jerry Lane. Well, if that's a violation of the rule, I think we're all due for a refresher on what that rule actually is and how to interpret it, because Russ was even attempting to get out of the way. You have to have a foot on the plate in order to get a force out. Do you not?
Yeah.
Here's Martin's reaction to the call.
This is what you call overthrowing in the big picture. This is doing more than you need to do for this whole situation.
And he got it with a slider. No, foul ball. Quinn Walcott, the home plate umpire, came out immediately and put his hands up, meaning foul ball. Bob Melvin shoots out of the dugout. And now they're going to check with Greg Gibson, the first base umpire.
It's a swing and a miss. He caught the ball. He backhanded the ball. He caught it. That's a catch. That ball did not hit the ground. And how did the umpire behind the plate see that? It always amazes me. Home plate umpire, this is a guess. There's no way he can see that to make the call. Yet he called it a ball hitting the dirt. And Napa, of course, is saying it, but the umpire already called it. They're going to say it's ball hit the dirt. And they are totally wrong. That's a bad call.
It's a bad call and a bad spot in the game. Well, yeah, the problem with the whole play is you're asking the first base umpire to call it, and well, he's 100 feet away. Blocked, and here comes the runner, and Pedroia slides, and he's safe, and this game is tied. And Gregerson slams the baseball down and throws it toward the dugout. And I think the A's have a reason to be hot on this one because the umpires blew it. And the pitch is hit toward right where Gentry's under it. He's got it side retired. And Gregerson is all over the home plate umpire, and quite frankly, he should be. Quinn Walcott is wrong, and he's going to realize it when he goes watch the highlights. And Bob Melvin's been thrown out.
That is inexcusable. Absolutely inexcusable.
At the end of the inning, Ron Washington was already out. You see Rios said a couple of words. There goes Washington, and he gets ejected, does Rios. So Rios is tossed from the game. He goes out to have a few words with Carapazza, but he is now gone. That's a quick hook.
Well, and you know what? That's frustrating. He's a hitter when the pitch misses by that much, and again, you're up there battling, and you just wonder, you know, how can he miss a pitch from It's 5-6 inches out. You're frustrated. You don't get the base hit. You come in there. You want to say something. You know, as an umpire, you just let the guy have his say and then move on.
The payoff pitch. Called strike 3, and Choice now has some words. And quickly, Washington comes out, and he gets tossed. Vic Carapazza has tossed 2 Texas Rangers tonight. Alex Rios back in the 4th, now Choice here in the 10th.
Well, Carapazza getting his money's worth tonight. Throwing a few guys out. This is strike 2. Now look at this. This pitch is off the plate. And you see Conger bring it back. I mean, that tells you right then and there. This pitch, and again, Conger catches it low and brings it up. So 2 times Conger does a great job of catching the ball and then deceiving the home plate umpire, bringing it back over the plate.
He just said that's not a strike right there. That's what he said, and that's how he got run.
He shouldn't have got run. Carapazza should have just said, yeah, you're right.
'85 on the slider. Good looking pitch. Strike 2. Got him with another one up in the zone. And Upton has a word for Mark Carlson as he goes away, and he's been ejected. Ugly day for the Braves.
First Chris Johnson, now Justin Upton.
Braves have had 5 ejections this year, and 2 of them in this game.
Two strikes to Dunn. Just outside, 1-2.
Come on, DJ, let's go. One ball's right down the middle.
You can almost hear the dugout talking to home plate umpire DJ Rayburn. Let's go. Hey,
somebody got tossed.
I think that was Gardy. Yep.
I know Tom Bernansky was engaged in the conversation, and now Rayburn walking away from the manager.
It's only the second time Gardy's getting thrown out this year, and he let DJ Rayburn know how he thought about his strike zone.
And even that, he got kicked out. He went out, said his piece, screamed a little bit, as much as his ill voice would let him.
And they are going to count the run. And this could be a short night at the office for Ron Washington. And it is. He's out. You cannot argue anything that has been overturned by replay. And as soon as you come out to argue it, you're out of the game. I don't know, Crucky. I understand the intent, but
I believe me, I don't know what the rule is about this, but there's no way that the catcher was blocking the plate and trying to stop the runner from getting to home plate. The throw is coming from foul territory, so you have to look at the angle to throw and where he has to stand to get the throw.
so the Rangers lose the argument and their manager.
Interesting, elongated conversation between Matt Williams and Mark Wegner.
And I'm watching the argument, and he said ball 4 a few times, and I think he's arguing that Danny Espinosa, the pitch to him was ball 4. That's what he...
Does this indicate that Matt has been tossed?
I don't see him on the bench right now, and I see Randy Knorr on the top step.
And I can't imagine that he stayed in the game after this prolonged argument that we saw during the break, but gotta love a guy sticking up for his players, and he thought that pitch to Espinosa was outside. We said Danny would run into the clubhouse and check it out on video, and maybe he got the report that it was wide like we saw on pitch track and lost it. And here's the pitch we're talking about to Danny Espinosa. Big part of this ball game on pitch track. That would have been a tough one to reach. Didn't like the call, and I think the skipper's gone. I'm still looking down there. There's
no way a manager has a discussion like that about balls and strikes and is still in the game. So Matt Williams is ejected.
The deepest part of the ballpark. All right. Oh, no. They're going to call that a ground rule double and only 1 run scores. Oh, no. Bud Black's got to be furious.
Oh.
That isn't right.
How can that is really bizarre. How can that call be that way with runners at first and third, correct?
It's not like the ball bounced into the seats or
2 outs.
Typical ground rule double. But, I mean, it's a high fly ball like that. By the time the ball came down, Smith was already around second base. He would have scored easily.
Exactly.
Well, that's a tough break for the Padres. I think anyone who would, in this ballpark that saw that happen would have said, hey, at least 2 scored, not 3 now. Yeah, that's the right call. That was not a home run. But do you think by the time that ball came down to Pence that he would have been able to make a relay with Smith running all the way with 2 outs? Come on.
Siriaco runs. The pitch is low. He is out at second base. The Royals have not used their challenge. Siriaco isn't going anywhere. Ned Yost is out of the dugout, and I think at this stage of the game, it really doesn't matter what the Royals hear. You take your shot and use your challenge.
Yep, Wakamasu's given thumbs up. Billy Duplessis, coach inside, helping Ned Yost with these calls. This is going to be a real tester here as they're going to review. Siriaco got a good break. Ellis's throws have been high this whole series, and it looked to me like he got his hands in there. This angle will tell you right here. He's close. Ooh, is it convincing enough evidence? Okay,
looks like contact right there.
That's what I'm seeing. Uh-oh. Home plate umpire, he threw somebody out. Brian Knight, that he ran somebody in the Royals dugout. Now Ned's going to come out and have a little talk with Brian Knight about who he tossed, and I don't think anybody in there knows who got tossed.
This is similar to whether the ball enters the glove or hits the glove, because you see Siriaco's hands reach first base. The question will be, when did he actually contact first base? Are his hands, or second base, are his hands hovering over the bag, or did they touch the bag and the umpires say that they hit the bag, so the call is overturned?
Slyke was unhappy when he was called out, and Van Slyke apparently hollering from the dugout to plate umpire Bill Miller. Van Slyke's at the other end, and I think Van Slyke has been kicked out. Don Mattingly came out to try and get the situation changed, but let's see. It looks like Andre Ethier is going to have to play center field. Not even close, says Scott Van Slyke on the pitch that was called a strike. So bad leg or no, Andre Ethier has to play center field as Van Slyke is kicked out.